This is Lizzie from Let Zoe Spoil You.
And Sagira from Sagira Salutes You. And together we are Newbie versus Weeaboo. Sagira, Newbie.
Lizzie, a Weeaboo.
It's Newbie versus Weeaboo.
Ahoy, hi.
Heidi, hi.
Hello. New week?
Yes?
I don't know. What day are we up to? Are we on Thursday or Sunday recording? I have no idea.
Isn't it Saturday?
Today is Saturday, but the recording of when we come out.
Oh, I don't know. I was just
Exactly.
too excited by the fact that it started hailing, and I was like, ooh, that's something different.
Yeah, global warming getting fixed my bottom. Hailstones in May. Are you joking? It's the end of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, but that because it could be it's the high wind, so it's pushing the water higher up into the atmosphere to create the stones that fall.
I didn't know you were a weather woman.
I studied geography, geology, environmental science. I know a little bit of things.
What haven't you studied? Like marine biology.
That's what I wanted to be, so I did study marine biology. I was terrible at it because once it got to microscopic biological entities and like the real hard biology stuff, it turns out I was no good at it. Strange enough, I was better at geophysics and geochemistry than I was biology.
Astronomy.
Yeah, no use.
Okay, cool. Yes. Found one. I studied performing arts, so there's me.
Yeah, but mine's a really weird mixed bag of like film studies, geology, like history, religion, Japanese culture, like God knows. No wonder I was in uni for so long. I just kept studying which.
We studied Ireland and the war between the North and the South. That's what we did. And we lived it. Living history. It's grand. Yeah, eating potatoes for 2 weeks. Whoopee. Don't knock it. It's an amazing school. Yay. Anyway, so let's go on to what we're actually here for. Not about us, but about Puella Magi Madoka Magica.
There we go.
Episode 9. I'd never allow that to happen. I didn't even know where this line came into the thing. I was so like trying to catch up with everything that's been said. I was like not even noticing where it was.
Pretty sure it's a Homura line.
Yeah, it could be. I'll go with that. But yes, for this episode of Newbie vs. Weeaboo, we are just doing this episode 9 because Kyubey has released a lot of information here, and I think we have a bit to talk about. So we're just going to do the one episode. And also, I feel like this is going to be a shorter episode than what we normally do. However, if we do 2 episodes, it will be longer than what we normally do. So yeah I thought this was the best of 2 episodes. Yes. It opens and it's the scene of Sayaka's soul gem exploding, which is what we saw in the last episode. So to remind ourselves, Sayaka's gemstone was almost completely black and tainted, and she was just lost. She's given up, and she cried, and it exploded, and she became a witch. And we also found out that magical girls are the first evolution before they become a witch themselves. Because Kyubey's an asshole. They are taken to a labyrinth, which is very Alice in Wonderlandy, with all like the checkered floor and everything, and there's like spirals, and yeah, it was a really nice labyrinth. I really liked it. Sayaka's body falls, and Kyoko catches her. They're faced with a witch, which is now Sayaka. This is her new form, and it's really hard to describe. She's just huge, and she's kind of flamey, but not fire flamey, more like inky flamey, and she's got a big bow, and it's really hard. How would you describe this witch? It's
semi wearing medieval armor, but semi like the frills and trappings of like a Lolita costume.
Yeah, I kind of, because of the Alice in Wonderlandy film, I kind of got like a Queen of Hearts vibe, but not so regal. Just kind of like a really dark, messy version. That's what I was getting. But I'm being influenced, of course. So. And also it's screaming, and it's just hearing the scream, you think it's that Sayaka screaming, and it's like she must be in pain, she must be just, it's hard to describe, but even unless you see it, but that scream is kind of the equivalent of a Shinji scream. It's just really disturbing and really, all the emotions. Hamura appears, and she throws a bomb at it. She likes a good old bomb, that girl.
Well, that is her magical weapon, so...
Well, magical weapon was... Oh, no, yeah, okay. Not time travel is not her magical weapon. It's just something she can do. Hamura tells Kyoko to take her hand, and as she does, time freezes. But because Kyoko is holding her hand, she's not involved in the time freeziness. So they're able to run away. And Hamura explains that the witch is Sayaka, just to make it clear to the audience. That's her now. That's her transformation. So let's get out of here. And they leave the labyrinth with Sayaka's body, but it's now empty. It's that shell that they were talking about earlier. It's just an empty shell of a person. Sayaka is gone. She's basically dead.
The body is dead. The soul is transformed into another being.
Da, 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 da.
Misleading opening. The most misleading opening ever.
Every time I see it now, I'm just like, you tricked me, intro, in that first episode. I was so looking forward to Madoka turning into this lovely magical girl wearing this pretty outfit, and you lied. And Kyubey to be the quirky sidekick. Haha. No, none of that. A majority of those intro people are dead.
Yep. None of them were ever as happy as they looked in that opening anyway.
Exactly. No joyful japes, no, oh, my underwear is exposed, how shocking. No, none of that. Just sad, depressing harshness to life is what we're getting from this. So it then cuts to Madoka, who is still wandering around looking for Sayaka because we left her after Kyubey had been shot. And Hamura is having a meltdown trying to protect her, and she's just gone, okay, bye. She just runs off to look for Sayaka. But as she's walking, she meets with Kyoko and Hamura, who still have Sayaka's body. And they explain to her what happened, that she's turned into a witch. And of course, Madoka is devastated. Her friend is dead. Like, she's lost Mami. Now she's lost her best friend. Hamura says that with every person she saved, she will curse someone in return. And again, it's that whole thing of karma and good versus evil, and if something good happens, something bad will happen to balance it out. Why can't we just have nice things? Why can't it just be something good happened? Hooray! Why does it have to be something good happened and somewhere else something bad is happening? Because then it makes you feel like nothing good can happen because you know somewhere else someone's getting bad things happening.
All things must be balanced.
It's bittersweet. Kyoko is mad and yells at Hamura for being so cold. And Hamura tells Kyoko that she is now responsible for the body. It's like, you took it, you look after it. And Kyoko says, you're not human anymore. And Hamura says, well, neither are you. Because they're not. they're witches on the edge of turning, you know? It's what they are now. We're in Madoka's room and she's sad, obviously. She's just lost her friend. And then the creepy Kyubey shadow show appears. The music, we've heard this music a few times, this kind of plinky plonky, clock-like chanting music, and I really like it. It's just so sinister, and it's like childlike sinisterism. It's really good for ambience, especially with Kyubey. I mean, I need to go back really and have a look at all the times that music is played to see if Kyubey is around, to see if like it's his music. Because, like I said, we have heard this music before. I've just not really picked up on what cue it is. But he's in her room, and now we get a huge explanation as to what a magical girl is and why he does what he's doing. And we also get a big insight into Kyubey as well, which is really interesting. So he comes in to ask to talk to her, and she's not surprised that he's alive. She's like, oh, you live. She just doesn't care about Kyubey anymore. She questions him and asks what he is, and she says, like, is that truly what happens? Do they turn into witches? And he's like, well, I can't deny it's happened.
Yeah, exactly. Like, can't beat around the bush there. It's like, yeah, the proof is kind of in the pudding there.
And he says it's no ill will to the human race, but they are trying to prolong the universe. And this whole explanation, it's that kind of, like, make a few suffer to save the many.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yes.
It's Wrath of Khan. Ah!
And if you look at it in a way of, we on Earth, we don't know that there's anything out there in the universe. Like, some people believe that there are other species and there's other races and stuff. I believe that we can't be the only thing here. I do believe there is something else somewhere. I can't prove that, but I I just failed to believe that, because that's a really sad thing to think, that we are the only living thing in this vast universe.
No, somewhere out there is going to be another planet on a similar evolutionary trajectory, or has been or will be. The universe is too big for us to be an isolated case of so perfectly positioned from a star that we developed life.
Exactly. To actually be told that there's other things out there, it's hard to imagine it. And Kyubey is saying like there's loads of other races out there, as if it's like a huge community of races, and it's hard to fathom unless you've seen it. It's like a story being told to you. It's make believe until you actually see it. So from when he's talking about saving the universe, it makes Madoka seem really selfish, the fact that she wants to save her own kind rather than save everyone else. But that's because she doesn't know anyone else. She can't think about another race that she's never heard of or never seen. And Kyubey has been so evil this whole time that, you know, why would she want to save that race? You know, just coming, all it feels like is that this race is coming to Earth, killing humans for the lols. You know?
No, yeah, exactly. For their own benefit, rather than like the benefit of more.
Yeah, exactly. So he asks her if she knows what entropy means. And I was like, I don't. Go for it, Kyubey. Give me a science lesson, because I have no clue what entropy means. So the example he gives is how a fire gives off more energy than the energy it took to grow the wood it's made of.
Yeah.
Again, energy is such a hard thing to picture because you can't see it.
It's that, trying to remember some of my science now, which I should do considering, but it's a while. Okay, so you know it takes more energy to... it takes more energy to destroy something than it does for it to be repurposed. So basically, whenever you do something, you're always expending more energy than actually the energy kind of you had doing it. Oh, it's so hard to explain, but like
It really is.
it's I mean, I know it, I get it. Yeah, it's like, but it's like it takes more. So it takes. It's basically there is more energy when something dies. It gives off energy. We all know this because, well, I suppose we don't, some people, but there is energy in bodies, they die. Energy
never dies. Energy just gets transferred.
Yes, but it takes more of that energy to do certain things than it just kind of gets transferred across. And you think about anything, you always expend more energy doing something than, like, for example, I'm thinking of giving birth. It seems like, I mean, I've never done it and I don't want to, but it's like, it seems like it gives a lot of energy doing that than the actual baby would produce.
Yep, I mean, Kyubey could have used that as an example.
Yeah.
But he chose the wood and the fire. Be a bit more sinister. He also says that when energy changes form, some of it gets lost. And then this leads on to the universe and how its energy is decreasing. So he knows that out in the universe, wherever he's come from, all the energy in the universe is being lost. And they needed an energy that's form wasn't bound to thermodynamics. Now we have the big science words coming in. Thermodynamics. And this leads on to magical girls. You can't join in because you're researching.
Goodness. Basically, there is more energy in negativity than there is in positivity, is one of the big theories, because it takes more energy to frown than smile. Mm-hmm. And you expend more energy when you're angry than when you're happy. There's maybe a more scientific, but, you know, basically, yeah, you give off more energy doing negative things than you do positive things, which I think is appropriate for this.
I can see that working. I'll start this bit again because you were totally somewhere else. So this all leads on to the universe and how its energy is decreasing. And they needed an energy that's form wasn't bound by thermodynamics. Kyubey, can't you just be all cute and like, yay, the universe is dying, we need you, yay.
Yeah. Isn't thermodynamics that it takes more energy to, like, produce heat than it does to store it? It's that thing I was trying to explain earlier, but I can't remember. But thermodynamics is basically the amount of heat that is given off by something. Yes, that's it. So when you light a fire, the actual energy you've put into making that fire will be more than the fire will ever produce. So energy runs out faster when you're trying to make it. So they needed an energy source that wouldn't hit those thermodynamic laws, where it wouldn't lose more energy existing than it did being made. Like, the amount of energy that is created when it comes into being is still the same amount of energy.
Hence magical girls. This is where they come in. Madoka wants to know what Kyubey is because He's gone from this cute little thing that makes magical girls into a scientific wizard. He says his civilization created technology that turns emotions into raw energy. And as his species don't have emotions, they searched the universe till they found humans. And this explains all of his creepiness. The fact that when he's telling you something devastating, he's just saying it matter-of-factly rather than actually like being sad about it or being angry about it. And why he just constantly has this smile on his face. Did they sell much merchandise of Kyubey? Because if you had a cuddly toy of him just sat on your bed, he's just staring at you with this creepy grin. You're just like, I don't know what Kyubey is. And then we get a shot of many chairs. Just a variety of chairs.
There's a meaning behind the use of chairs because it turns up in a lot of things. It's because obviously, remember in Ava, there were empty chairs around the place, and a couple of other animes use it. Depending on the anime, depends how they're used. So I don't know specifically for this one, but for other one, different chairs represent the different people in your life, and them being an audience. Empty chairs means there's either less people in your life, there are less individuals, there's less of an audience to the situation you're in. It's kind of always been a representation of emptiness, like no one understands your story, no one understands what you're going through. If the chairs were filled, it'll be filled with people that could understand what you were going through. It's kind of, there's a weird symbolism with chairs. I've never really gone into the use of chair symbolism in anime, but because it seems really a random thing to research. But it does happen in quite a few series. You'll notice weird shots of chairs or just empty chairs sitting around the place.
But then if that is what it represents, then that makes sense because Madoka does not understand Kyubey at all. And Kyubey says that, no one understands their goal here. But it probably, if Kyubey had more emotion about the situation, it would probably be more relatable. And she could get on board with it because it's something that he's passionate about and something that he really cares about. But because he can't show that emotion, she can't. It just seems matter of fact and dead, and like that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Well, right.
I don't know why, but I always start thinking of Les Mis and empty chairs at empty tables. My friends, they have gone. They're all dead. And I'm like, yes, there are empty chairs at Madoka's table, and her friends are dead and gone.
But again, I don't relate the empty chairs to Madoka. I relate the empty chairs to Kyubey. Because he's in a world where he's trying to justify what he's doing, and everyone around him is saying, you're wrong, you're the bad guy. You shouldn't be doing this. And he's like, no, I'm doing this for a good reason. And he's like, no, you're killing us. Go away.
Yeah, the thing is, I associate the chairs with humanity because people have chairs. They're chairs, then people have chairs. A chair is meant to represent the person that sits in it. So in like my headspace, my chairs they would all be chairs from your life. So one of the chairs would have been Sayaka's chair from home, Mami's chair from home, one of her parents' chairs. It's like a representation of the people in your life, but none of them understand how she's feeling.
It could be Kyubey's chairs.
It could be. I mean, I'm only theorising based on how chairs have been used in similar situations in other animes.
Well, everything's up for interpretation as they haven't explained the chairs, so it's good to have 2 points of view. Yay! Discussion. He says the energy in one human is greater than that used between its birth and growth. The human soul is the energy needed to stop entropy. The people showing the greatest emotion is teenage girls. Of course it's teenage girls.
Of course.
The angst. Oh, the teenage angst.
Oh, nothing is more emotional than a teenage girl.
Exactly. He says that they have the most extreme fluctuations. And it's like, no, Kyubey, that's called a period.
It's called puberty and hormones.
But yes, I mean, I get it. Teenage girls, yes, they do show the most emotion. Not every time. Some like to keep their emotions in check. But, as a stereotype, teenage girls are very angsty and very, everything's great. I hate myself. Oh my gosh, the world is a brilliant place. Look how popular I am. I'm so alone. It's that age that you don't know who you are yet. Like you want to be one thing, but then the world is telling you to be another. Some teenagers, it's great. They know who they are from the outset, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to be me, screw everyone else. That's fantastic. But people like me, who wanted to be one thing, but was so scared of being ridiculed for being that thing, that I did what everyone else wanted to do. It's,
I hated being a teenage girl. I mean, oh my god. Mixed race, learning difficulties, and queer. And also really into geeky things like Star Trek. I was just like, I don't belong. I found my people. I hate everyone. Everyone hates me. I hate my mother. My mother hates me. Oh my god. That was fun. Yeah, hated it. Never be a teenage girl ever again.
And that just proves Kyubey's point. We are the most emotional things on this earth as a teenager.
I would have turned into a witch so fast. I mean, I was a goth anyway. So I would have been like, everything, I'm a witch now.
He says the most energy is produced when a soul gem becomes a grief seed, and as an incubator, Kyubey must store that energy. So, like when he took the seed from Sayaka, he was taking the energy from the seed. So, what does he do with it? Does he transfer it back into the universe, or does he take it home with him, or does he just nom?
Well, I'm assuming he's an incubator, so he keeps it until the energy kind of is refined and goes back to his civilization in the universe and releases it to the universe to replenish their dwindling sources.
I hope we get to see that. I think that would be a really good scene of him just going ha ha, releasing all this energy into the universe. I mean, like really well drawn and everything. But I mean, how many episodes we got left? 3? And possibly not. Madoka doesn't like this and feels that they think humans are disposable. Kyubey rationalizes by saying once humans find a way to join the rest of the universe, they won't want to find it empty. I mean, I get that. Like, once we get the technology to actually go and explore everything, do we really just want to go out there and find an apocalyptic nothingness?
Yeah.
Or do we actually want to find life and civilizations and people to actually converse with?
Yeah, can you imagine the shock to humanity when you go off and find it barren and bleak and you find out that it's your fault because you weren't willing to put something towards continuing the universe? It's like, oh, we killed the universe. What is the point of life?
Yeah, and he rationalizes that for the long term, this is better for everyone. So for the short term, yeah, it's crappy for you guys, but for the long term, it benefits everybody in the... I mean, we're not even talking about the world here. We're talking about the universe. Pretty big. Madoka's still not happy as it involves her friends, which... You know, yeah, maybe if it was happening to someone else, yes, it's still terrible, but it's not directly you that's suffering. So obviously she's taking this really hard and find it very hard to rationalize that my friends had to die so that other people could live. It's really hard to... I'd probably feel the same if it was someone I knew. I'd be like, no, can you go somewhere else and do this? Because I don't want any part of it, thanks. I get it. We're saving the universe. Which also leads me on to... I'm confused about familiars now as well. Because Kyubey was saying... No, not Kyubey. Homura, wasn't it? Or Mami was saying that they need to eat 5 human souls to become a witch. But that's not true. Because the witch is from magical girls. So what is a familiar then?
I mean, I just never really thought about what a familiar is. I just thought they were just like aspects of the witch's personality that had gone off to try and be their own witches.
Possibly. I mean, it's not explained, maybe not explained yet, but
yeah,
it just made me think about it because I was like, right, okay, so none of that's true. It's just in how they interpreted it because a witch comes from magical girls. So it can't be that 5 souls have to die for there to be a witch, unless it is.
I think the thing is, I think it's the magical girls themselves have interpreted what they believe familiars are, because obviously Kyubey gives nothing away and they're going, they're familiars, and Kyubey's like, yeah, sure, that's what you want to call them. I think a magical girl would evolve into a witch. A familiar, they're always something that, because a familiar is something like a witch shares their soul with. It's like a part of them. So it's either like really obvious, like it's the witch's pets, or it's just different aspects of the witch's personality that also want to gain the same power as the overall, and think they deserve to be like the overriding emotion and stuff, because we don't really know what a witch is. We just know it's a very emotional, dark, negative energy force. But there might be other conflicting personas in there, because you're not just made up of one personality. Your personality is made up of different personas and different things. And they could be, again, this is all theoretical. So I always thought of it as the main witches create this other personas to that personality that feel that they should be as powerful, and they go off and eat people to gain the same status as a witch as well.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I'm not going to say that's wrong because I don't know.
And then my other theory is familiars are their pets. So it's like a hamster that's like, I want power too.
Hamster that eats people.
Yep.
Great. Killer hamsters. Kyubey says that him and the girls make a contract, and they ask for consent. They are not forcing them, and they mean no ill will. To which Madoka says, "You're tricking us." And he says, "I don't understand what you mean by tricking. We don't get that concept." And he says, "When humans misunderstand, they blame the other person." So Kyubey is in the wrong here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because when you sign a contract, you need to read the contract. And this, by reading the contract, it should be the girls asking questions. And yes, Kyubey isn't telling them anything that they haven't asked. Like, he just says, "You're going to become magical girl," which is true. He says, "You're going to fight witches," which is true. He's just not revealing the bad parts of being a magical girl, which is the small print of a contract.
Basically, yes, the fine print. He doesn't go into the fine print. So, and you've obviously been on Earth long enough to know these subtleties. You know how to manipulate the system. It's basically, it's like lawyers and stuff and things. Not doing anything illegal, but knows how to manipulate the system.
And yeah, whereas Kyubey isn't wrong here, as in like what he's saying, he is wrong morally, because he's saying like his race don't understand tricking. Yeah, it's because you have no emotion and you don't understand whimsy and trickery and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But still, if you are making a contract with someone, they need to know what they are actually getting into, not just pretty girls who go out and fight. In a way, he is tricking them because he's making it seem like a really magical, lovely thing. But but the girls are... You said it before, that he picks naive girls who just want to get out of a bad situation. Yeah. Which is why it's hard for him to be doing this to Madoka, because she's not in a bad situation. No. The only bad situation is her friends being in trouble. She herself has got, like, she lives in a house. She's got a family that loves her. She goes to school. She's got friends. She's not in a situation where she desperately needs to become a magical girl. So that's why he's working so hard on her. Madoka doesn't get Kyubey, who in return doesn't get humans. He asks, with an ever-growing huge population, why does it matter to lose a handful of humans? And again, it's not a handful of humans, it's her handful of humans. Yeah. It's her people. That's why it matters. And this would indicate that Kyubey and his race haven't got the concept of love and family and friendship. Yeah. He just sees it as another thing that looks like you, and you live with it. It is frustrating because you have to understand it from Kyubey's point of view, that he's learning about humans and their emotions and all this kind of stuff. But also from Madoka's point of view, she has got emotions and she knows all this stuff. And it's very frustrating that something isn't getting this simple concept of being with someone. Yeah. He hasn't got the concept of human compassion. And Madoka says, if you think that, then you are our enemy. She's now put a cross on Kyubey. He tells her she would still be the most powerful magical girl and then be the most powerful witch and produce an amazing energy. And then he says, and I've written this as a quote, "So if you ever feel like dying for the sake of the universe, please call me anytime." Yeah. And then he disappears. And that is the most manipulative thing he has said this entire time. It's like, you sod.
So literally, if you feel like sacrificing yourself for the good of the universe, and it's just like, oh, so she already feels selfish half the time for not becoming a magical girl. Then she feels selfish for her friends fighting in her stead. And now she's going to feel equally as selfish. She's like, oh, by choosing not to do this, I've doomed the universe. It's like guilt trip much. It's like, oh, poor little girl.
He may not have emotions, but he's a fantastic manipulator. That's the thing. It's the deadpanness of what he's saying, the matter-of-factness of, well, if you want to save the universe, give me a call. Bye, lol. Kyoko is in the bedroom with Sayaka. I'm guessing it's Sayaka's room, as Kyoko hasn't got a bedroom.
Yeah.
or she found a hotel.
No, I think it's a hotel. Somewhere. I think it's a hotel.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she puts her on a bed and she's trying to help preserve the body by using her own soul gem, so to stop it from disintegrating. Kyubey turns up. Hey, I'm here. And he's asking, why waste your own energy on her? And of course, Kyoko doesn't know anything of what Kyubey has just told Madoka. So it's like, why are you wasting that precious energy when I could be having that delicious, tasty energy? And Kyoko says she wants to save her, but Kyubey is unaware of how she can do that. She's like, can I save him? He's like, I wouldn't know how if you could, because he doesn't. Like, as far as he's concerned, they're doomed. He's not telling her there is no way. He's just saying he doesn't know how to save her. So again, manipulative.
Yep. He's a calculating little shit, really, isn't he?
He really is. He's a good character. I think he's brilliant as a character because of, he's just so good at being good and then being evil and having the secretive evilness and the manipulation and the cutesiness, and he's a very well thought out character, Kyubey. The next day, Madoka and Hitomi are walking to school, and Hitomi is worried about Sayaka. She dead, girl. We need to worry about her no more. Madoka wants to tell Hitomi, but before she does, she's interrupted by Kyoko, who is telepathically asking her if she can come and talk. And she's like up on a building somewhere going, hey, come talk to me. And then it just looks like Madoka is like away with the fairies.
Yeah.
Poor Hitomi's like, you okay? She's like, can't come to school today, bye. And she runs off. Kyoko wants to try and find a way to save Sayaka. So that's why she asked to talk to Madoka. And she wants to use Madoka to try and jog the witch's memory. So she's like, hey, sense memory. If she listens to your voice, maybe she'll remember her past and who she actually is. And it's a stellar idea, but whether it will work, how lost is the person to the witch?
Yep. I mean, it's a very anime trope. Like, the sound of your loved one's voice is what's going to break the spell. You know, Pikachu died and Ash's tears brought him back because love conquers all in anime, and those bonds, you can break through anything, including death, as long as you love something enough.
Pokemon spoiler.
From 20 years ago! 20 years ago!
And Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
Again! About 20 years ago! God, I'm old.
Hey, if we're just releasing spoilers, why don't I just tell them all now?
Everyone has seen the first Pokemon movie. And if they haven't, then they obviously never wanted to. Well, there's something wrong with you then, isn't it?
Oh, it's just so many episodes. It's like, I
No,
can't.
the Pokemon movie! Just
No, but
Pokemon...
you have to watch the series to watch the movie, because otherwise you
Oh,
don't
there was only
understand
about
the bond.
150 episodes when the movie came out.
Only. I keep getting up to, like, what is it? Which gem do they always get up to? I think it's when Brock... No, Brock hasn't left. It's when they meet the girl in the forest who helps Pokemon, and Brock really wants to stay with her, but she gives them Bulbasaur, and yeah, that's around there that I kind of lose interest.
I stopped
But I wanna
watching the actual series and just continued watching the movie until I realised there was 23 movies, and I was like, Jesus. Oh, then it turns out that I actually watched nearly all of them, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm a nerd. Anyway, we've gone off track onto Pokemon.
I was going to say, it's a good franchise, and I hope it does well. So
I think Pokemon's all right.
maybe, who knows? We'll find with the many movies and Ryan Reynolds. So Kyoko, this whole time, she's been really positive about it, which is unusual for Kyoko because she was very much the selfish, I do everything for me character. But she says that it's Sayaka who has kind of brought this side out of her, because the reason why she became a magical girl was because she loves stories where good triumphs over evil. And Sayaka reminded her of this because she was so hell-bent on saving everyone and good triumphing over evil. So because of that, and because she's reawakened this innocent side to her, she wants to help her. Madoka agrees to help, and they formally introduce themselves.
Yes.
Because they haven't actually done that yet. In school, we saw the absent desks about, and Humura excuses herself, saying that she's unwell. And that's just a little scene to show that Humura has escaped from school as well.
Yep.
Kyoko and Madoka search the city for Sayaka's witch, so they're looking for the residue of where it was with the soul gem. And Kyoko explains why she's only interacting with Humura is to stop this powerful witch from destroying the city. So she's not actually friends with Humura, but if she wants to save the world, or at least their city, then she needs to gang up with Humura and try and help her. They find Sayaka's labyrinth. Magical girl transformation! Madoka regrets not being able to help with the fight, but Kyoko says that if you have good food, because that's important,
Yep.
and good family, I like how food comes before family. If you have good food and good family that loves you, then why would you give all that up for death, basically? I mean, it's hard to say, because if you love your family, you want to help them, and by doing that, you become a magical girl to save them from the witches. But ultimately, now you know that you're going to become a witch, you could kill them yourself. So
Yeah.
it's best just not to do it.
Yeah.
The only people who should be a magical girl are those who don't have a choice. So, like, she was in a bad situation and Mami was in a bad situation. Sadly, Sayaka was not in a bad situation, but she felt like she had to help Kioski,
Yeah.
and she didn't really, because he would have lived, he just wouldn't have been able to play the violin. But obviously to her that was important enough to become a magical girl. But at the time she thought that she was getting a good deal out of it.
Yeah.
So
And she also realises that her wish was a little bit selfish, because she wished for his hand to be recovered so that he would be able to play the violin, and then he would fall for her and see how much she's done for him. It wasn't the most purest of wishes. It wasn't.
But at the same time, she couldn't tell Kioski what she'd done. So
No.
he would never know.
No, but she still thought that she would have had the time to build that relationship. Obviously, finding out she was a corpse kind of soured that. And then finding out Hitomi was also going to... And then it just like... And you could tell that the wish wasn't completely selfless, because it triggers her to be like, oh my goodness, I've cursed someone. Being like, not actually like I've put a curse on you, but she was cursing the existence of other people because it's led to this situation. It's just like, oh dear.
But yeah, and because of this, Kyoko thinks that Madoka should only become a magical girl if she is in that same position. She's like, hey, maybe if your back's against the wall, maybe then you can become a magical girl if there's no other choice. But even then, like with the way that Kyubey is going on about how powerful of a witch she's going to be, do you really want to risk being such a good magical girl if that's what you're going to ultimately become? So, swings and roundabouts. As they're walking through the labyrinth, they find a corridor of screens, and you can see pictures. And I saw Kyoko in one of them, so I'm assuming that these are Sayaka's memories, because that's just what I got from that. And then it all shuts down, and they are transported to the witch, who is surrounded by an orchestra. So that's the whole Kioski thing of she loves a boy who wanted to play the violin. And also it makes it very dramatic to have a live orchestra there while you're fighting. Madoka tries to talk to Sayaka while Kyoko fights, but Sayaka is being stubborn, as she always is. But again, is Sayaka actually really there? Or is she just consumed with bad things? And is it just all the bad parts of Sayaka that is left?
Yeah.
If her soul gem, her purity is gone, then she's just been consumed by all bad stuff.
Yeah. She's just literally the manifestation of all her negativity.
Exactly. So is she actually there anymore? Can you actually talk to her? And this is what they're trying to find out. Kyoko thinks that this is payback for their first meeting. So she thinks that Sayaka is being stubborn and just attacking her because the first time they met, Kyoko wasn't the nicest of people. If it was actually Sayaka doing it, I don't think she would be fighting for that reason, because she kept saying, like, you can kill me if you want, Kyoko, if you really want to, and she wouldn't blame her for it, and etc. etc. So I think she's over the whole first meeting. I mean, she apologized for it and everything. The witch picks up Madoka, but Kyoko cuts off its hand, and she tries to remind Sayaka that she wanted to do good. She's trying to tell her, look, you were trying to fight evil, this is what you're against, don't be that thing that you don't want to be. And as they're talking, the floor gives way and they fall to the next level, which is underneath them, which is just kind of like a dramatic thing of the slow motion falling and everything's lost sort of thing.
Yeah.
And what is it Kyoko says? I didn't write it down, but what does she say? She says, like, God, my life sucked. At least let me have a nice dream. Or something like that. Yeah. Which is really sad. Homura catches Madoka, so she turns up and she saves Madoka once again, and she gently lowers her to the ground. And at this point, Kyoko is badly injured and her weapon disappears, just to show how injured she is, I'm guessing, and that she's running out of energy. Kyoko blocks Homura and tells her to get away and protect the thing that means the most to her, which is Madoka. Kyoko tells Sayaka it sucks to be alone, but she is now with her, which goes back to the whole thing of Mami feeling like she was alone, and then Madoka saying, I am now here for you.
Yeah.
So it's that whole lonely magical girl existence of just wanting to be there for someone and have someone be there for you. So the whole friendship trope.
Yeah.
Kyoko kisses her gem and she throws it in the air. Now, is this her soul gem? Because the soul gem's meant to be the little egg thing, but I'm guessing when she turns into a magical girl, it turns into that.
Yeah, because you notice how each one of them have like a gem on them at some point. Like, so Sayaka has the little blue gemstone in her belly button. I can't remember where Mami's was, or Homura's, I think. But yeah, it's their gems.
So yeah, it's a way of incorporating it into their outfit, basically. Yeah. So yeah, she throws her gem up into the air and she destroys it, causing a huge explosion, which seems to kill herself and Sayaka. Again, this was a moment.
Everybody dead.
Mammy. Sayaka, Kyoko. Oh. And then Homura and Madoka are safe. Whoopee. Kill one of the best characters. Kyoko, by the way. She was one of the best characters. She was that kind of Asuka, tragic, teenage angsty character who all she wants to do is do good, but she doesn't know how to act, sort of thing.
Okay, yeah. No,
I
I like my Homura. I like my beautiful, lone wolf, slightly cryptic.
You like your Ray characters.
I didn't realise quite, like, we're seeing my tropes.
So we're now at Homura's place and she's alone. And Kyubey visits her. And she asks if Sayaka could have been saved. And he says no. So he knew all along that once you're a witch, you're doomed. Thanks, Kyubey, once again, manipulating and not telling the whole truth. And she asks him, why didn't you tell Kyoko this? Why did you let her go out and think there's hope? And he explains that with Kyoko gone, you're alone and you can't kill the big bad witches that's coming all by yourself. So not just a misleading little he's also a conniving one too. Like, she's the one who's gone back and forth in time and yet he's still kicking her butt. What's going on? Kyubey, this is like one of the worst bad guys I've seen in a while and he's barely done anything. All he's done is talk to girls and trick them.
Yeah, and even then, all he's done is really omit the truth. And because he's never lied, he's just not told full truth. And he's just like, because even when he's talking to Kyoko, it was like they're like, oh, can it be done? It's like, well, there's no precedence for it. So it's not like a no. It's just like, well, it's never been done before, which gives her the idea that if it's never been done before, there's still a possibility just because he wanted her out of the way. And it's just like, oh, you little...
He's a hope slut. He thinks that he's giving these girls hope, but actually he's not. So he dangles it in front of them and is like, it's never going to happen. So, yeah, little slut. So what he's wanting is that if Homura is all by herself to fight this big bad witch, it might force Madoka to help her, knowing that she's the only other person that if she became a magical girl, she could fight off this huge thing that's coming. Homura is like, no, that will not happen. And credits.
Yep.
And it's really sad credits because it's a picture of Sayaka and Kyoko comforting each other. And it's like, oh, God. Why you do that?
Yeah.
Why you do that to your audience?
In death, they found peace because they weren't alone in death.
No, they had each other. They were with each other at the end. And yeah, it's really sad.
Yes.
All we have left is Homura and Madoka, and that's it. And also, like, other people who know Sayaka, are they going to know that she's dead, or are they just going to think she's a missing person? Or I do wish I'd watched the second episode, but at the same time, like I said, this one had so much to uncover and talk about that I didn't think we were going to have time to do a second one.
Well, we've already been doing nearly an hour on this one, so you know.
Exactly. I predicted that. So yeah, if we'd done the second one, we'd be doing another hour. So no, we don't need 2 hours of Newbie versus Weeaboo in one go. We need breaks. So yeah, it was just such a heartbreaking episode, and like, you thought Mammy was the saddest thing. No, this was even sadder because it's two characters who found each other. They started off as enemies, and even when Sayaka became a true enemy because she wasn't herself anymore and she was a witch, the thing that the magical girls were fighting, Kyoko found that similarity and that connection and sacrificed herself for her.
Yeah,
it's really
sad. What I find really tragic is when she's fighting and she's like, and that Kyoko's going, oh, you're being stubborn. Oh, is this payback? Is this payback for when I tried to like kill you when you first met? And then she kind of lets herself get beaten up. She goes, okay, I'll let you like have your way and get that out of your system. And then maybe like we could move on from that. And it's like, oh, you're even letting yourself get beaten in the hope that Sayaka can like work those negative emotions out of her system. So therefore they can talk about it. And it's like, no, it's not going to happen like that.
And it's also sad because if you remember the first scene from the very first episode where Homura is fighting this thing all by herself and Madoka is there, not a magical girl yet, and Kyubey is there saying, you can stop this if you just become a magical girl. It's all coming true. It's all happening the way Kyubey wants it to happen.
Yeah.
Unless something amazing happens in the next couple of episodes. I mean, I don't know at this point.
Yeah.
I'd like to think it's all going to end happy and lovely, but with the way that it twists and turns and it's It's like throwing all the usual tropes out the window. It could end horribly. But ultimately, it could end for good because Kyubey saved the universe. Who's the real bad guy here? Is it Madoka and Homura stopping Kyubey from saving the universe, but in turn saving a bunch of humans? Or is it the girls stopping Kyubey from saving the rest of the... Like, it's a real moral dilemma. They should be using the tram theory as the moral dilemma. They should be using this as the moral dilemma question. It's oh god, all philosophy and stuff coming into it. It's really, you can't take sides really on this. The way Kyubey's doing it is rubbish.
Yeah,
but he's doing it for a good cause, and it's like, but then is the universe filled with poo heads?
Yeah, are they all dicks like Kyubey? If it's a load of just like arrogant, emotionless dicks that think they're better than everybody else, you know, it's like,
you want to save them?
Yeah, if humanity doesn't exist out there, because obviously we have a concept of humanity because we're humans. But what happens if all the races out there are so advanced because they don't have that like sense of humanity, and they always say like emotions is what tie humans down and stuff, and like stop us progressing as fast because we just can't get along. So is it worth going off into a universe of just there's no humanity out there? Like,
but then there's other races that do have the same emotions as we have. It's just his race doesn't have.
Yeah.
Or is he lying and there isn't actually more out there? It's just us and them, and they are saving themselves. Oh, so many questions.
Yeah.
Oh, and we can't know because we haven't got the technology nor the magic without him to find out.
Yeah.
So, oh, Kyubey, best villain / anti-hero. Yeah, he's slowly turning into my favourite character. He went from the creepiest character to one of my favourites just because he's so well done. But yeah, so that's episode 9. My question for this week is, what would your witch look like? What do you think you would turn into if you became a witch?
Well, the thing is like, witches are just so very random, but their labyrinths are more of a reflection of what they are. God knows. I mean, there'd be tentacles in mine.
Yes, for sure.
There'd be tentacles everywhere. It'd be tentacles, and it would, I don't know, because it's kind of like childlike and fun. So, I mean, it would be gothy creepy.
So you'd be Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
Probably. That sounds about right. We'll put me Ursula with the Little Mermaid, some weird demon squids flying all over the place, basically horned little squids and horned jellyfish everywhere. Like, I don't know, but all like, and then they turn around and smile, and they've just got big teeth going, nam, 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 because I like to eat. And, yeah.
Well, if we're going on the basis of what we just said, with witches being all the bad stuff inside a person, then it'll be all my fears, I reckon. So I'd be full of holes. I'd have a clown face.
Goodness.
I'd look like a creepy mannequin. Yeah, I'd be a really horrible, disturbing looking witch.
Yeah.
Surrounding me would probably be, I don't know, like wet bread. Yuck.
Yeah, see, but the thing is, it's like, it's a manifestation of things that you do kind of like, because obviously, like, Sayaka's was the orchestra, so would yours be the stage? Because that's, like, your goal or your ideal?
The performing side? Yeah, probably. It'd probably be, like, the performance, like that, because that's a slight regret I have, is that I didn't pursue that side of what I did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, possibly a stage with an audience.
I know.
I'd be a Shakespearean thespian.
Yeah. Yeah, because like my fears are a little bit harder to pin down. I can't exactly be inbred. Like, you can't really have the physical manifestation of my fear of inbreds. So, you know.
You'd just be a stereotypical hillbilly.
Yeah, no. So I don't think it would work. I think I would be very overweight, covered in tentacles. Because that's
Slug lady.
Yeah, I'd be. Well, actually, I think I'd be. Have you seen that? I've decided this is what I currently look like with my slight weight gain. But you know the blobfish from the Mariana Trench? That's me, down to the weird, sad expression on its melting face. A pale blobfish.
I'd like to clarify that she does not look like a blobfish right now. She just looks a little bit curvier than she used to because of quarantine. That's all, not a blobfish.
Yeah, I've got some weird melting skin.
It's her interpretation of herself. No one else thinks that, okay?
Yeah. But yeah, it'd be like just really dark, filled with like knives and bloods and stuff, and then something really random like little ponies jumping around the place because I love My Little Pony, and people would be like, "What the fudge is going on here? How can you have serial killers running around having tea parties with ponies?" And I'm like,
Okay, so if anyone would like to do some fan art of Lizzie as a blobfish surrounded by dancing ponies, that'll be really fun to look at. You can send it to her Twitter or her Instagram or whatnot. I'd love to see that as fan art. Okay, so
wow,
social media.
You kind of shot yourself in the foot there.
Why?
Because I'm coming in as a tentacled blobfish.
No!
Oh, blah, 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 with my parade of dancing ponies being ridden by serial killers.
Being ridden by serial
killers? Yeah.
I'm just gonna have you in Hannibal masks.
Yeah, I love Hannibal.
There we go.
There we go.
Not My Little Ponies for copyright.
Yes, exactly.
My little
Your little
Winnie.
ponies.
Okay, right, cool, awesome.
Just do Your Little Ponies. Just have ponies, but wearing Hannibal masks.
Yeah, that's it. Everyone's wearing a Hannibal mask because yuck, because of cannibalism, yucky.
He is one of my favourites.
There you go then. There you go. Mine. I'm going to go really simple after that because that's going to take me time to do.
Well, you were the one that says, I want to see some art of this. And I'm like, okay, then.
Yes, but mine's going to be crappily drawn with a mouse, not delicately drawn with water paint or whatever. This is just going to be really crappy, sorry. Well, mine's going to be simple. It's just going to be one big gem explosion to blow away all of your things. Patooey! And then like body parts ring down.
There we go.
And then just your blobby clockers. And then we sweep it away. Yeah. There's my social media.
There we go. I basically sound like an eldritch horror. That's it. My maze would look like freaking like Cthulhu eldritch horror. We're going to go proper Lovecraftian. Mine would totally be the Lovecraftian maze.
Say goodbye.
So from apparently a really messed up Weeaboo, this is Johnny.
And from a really disturbed newbie, it's sweep it away, la la la.